Here are 10 episodes of The Simpsons, which are banned in some countries. The Simpsons go on a family vacation to Japan, and it's not what they hoped for. 30 Minutes Over Tokyo starts with Homer being robbed of all his savings, and Marge feeling desperate once again. Homer feels bad that his wife is living a poor lifestyle, so he goes to rob Ned Flanders. Ned, being the good guy he is, gives Homer some advice.
I think you'll find living thrifty a lot more satisfying than stealing.
Yeah, easier said than done, Ned. Try doing that with Homer's lifestyle. Homer and Marge go to a seminar about saving money, and they learn that they need to squeeze every penny in order to achieve the life they so desperately want. Since they lost money for their big vacation, they're gonna squeeze their budget for a vacation. They manage to get onto a flight to Japan.
If we want to see Japanese people, we could have gone to the zoo.
Homer!
What? The guy who washes the elephant is Japanese.
Oh my god, no wonder this episode was banned in Japan. From this line only, I would assume they never aired it, but this ain't the straw that broke the camel's back. They land in Japan, and Homer can't get used to any of the customs. Like, for example, sliding doors.
Here's our room.
Homer, you're supposed to slide those doors open.
I don't have time for that.
Or bidets.
They're years ahead of us.
Not quite, but you enjoy your bidet, Homer. The family decides to go to an American restaurant in Japan, like true Americans, and see the Japanese take on American food. Soon they realize that their cheap vacation ain't that cheap. Food is very expensive in Japan.
Oh my, those are $150.
It's worth every cent.
Homer truly embodies the spirit of go big or go broke. Who needs fiscal responsibility when you can savor a $150 watermelon on foreign soil? The family goes to watch a sumo fight, and Homer enjoys his $50 pretzel. Of course, he then insults the sumo fighter, who takes away his pretzel. Oh, big mistake. Poor guy didn't know how Homer is about his food. They start fighting, and with a little help from Bart, Homer retrieves his pretzel.
Like we say in my country, hasta la vista, baby.
Only Homer could turn a cultural lesson into a brawl over carbs, because in his world, no one messes with his food, not even a sumo wrestler. The Emperor of Japan comes out to congratulate Homer on defeating the sumo fighter, but Homer, blinded by rage over his pretzel, throws the Emperor out of the ring. And now you know why this episode never aired in Japan. Marge pays the bail for Homer and Bart, but Lisa is still unhappy because they didn't do anything Japanese their whole trip.
Tori no himitsu oshieru no.
I guess they did learn something valuable in Japan. Homer wants to cheer Lisa up, so he makes her an origami from their last resorting money, and you guessed it, it flies away. And now they need to go get a job to earn money to come home.
Every truckload of fish we got brings us 31 cents closer to those tickets home.
Bart actually enjoys gutting fish. We should have seen that coming. He is a bit of a psycho. Leave it to Bart to find his true calling elbow deep in fish guts, because nothing says self-discovery like 31 cents a truckload and the sweet aroma of desperation. They see a commercial about a game show where they can choose their prize, so they, of course, like any typical American family, decide to participate. The game is extremely cruel, with a lot of torture, but they finally come to the finish line. All they have to do is climb the bridge over a volcano to get their airplane tickets. Yep, that's it.
I don't think that bridge can support much weight.
Well, Maggie weighs a lot less than... Oh, I'll just go.
Classic Lisa, proving once again she's the smartest in the room and the sassiest, even when teetering over a volcano. Lisa manages to get the tickets, but the game show host makes the bridge fall. Marge rushes over to catch Lisa, then Homer rushes to save Marge, and then Bart runs to get the tickets. Now they're all hanging over a splitting hot volcano.
I'm afraid this might be the end.
Well, at least we'll die doing what we love, inhaling molten rock.
Leave it to Homer to turn a near-death experience into a heartfelt moment of appreciating his volcanic long workout. They fall into the lava, which turns out to be some kind of wasabi sauce, and the whole thing was just a sham. They won their tickets, but at what cost? Homer takes the mic and uses that moment to scold the host and the viewers.
But somewhere along the line, you lost your way. For shame.
You know you've sunk low when Homer shames you. But maybe not everyone thought this episode was worth banning, but the next one surely got a large number of people in a bit of shock. Homer thinks Bart is gay, so he tries to do everything in his power to set him straight. Literally. Homer's phobia starts with the family having to pay a giant gas bill, which of course they have no money for. So Marge decides to sell a family heirloom she got from her grandma. Lisa tries to stop her by asking, what would grandma think about that?
I'm sure she'd be proud that her descendants had piping hot tap water and plenty of warm, dry underwear.
Marge, the true practical woman. They go to a pawn shop to try and sell it, but turns out it's just an old liquor bottle.
Well, I guess it'll always be a monument to Grandma's secret drinking problem.
Homer and John get to talking, and Homer invites him over to look at some valuable worthless crap they have lying around in the house.
Well, if you're inviting me over...
I practically insist. Shall we say 5 o'clock, the snacking hour?
Only Homer could turn a hoard of junk into an irresistible dinner invitation, because nothing pairs with valuable worthless crap like a well-timed snack. John comes over and he's just admiring everything in the Simpson house, and Homer's grown fond of him. Only there's one thing he doesn't quite realize. He tells Marge that John and his wife should come over sometime, and Marge tries to give him a push in the right direction, instead of, well, being blunt.
I don't think he's married, Homer.
Swinging bachelor, eh?
He prefers the company of men.
Who doesn't?
Oh God, oh God, oh God.
John is a homo
Right?
sexual.
Classic Homer, navigating Marge's hints like a bull in a china shop. Homer freaks out, saying he danced with a gay, and he makes a big deal out of the whole situation. He feels betrayed, not because John is gay, but because he didn't announce that. In Homer's words, he's that way. Marge and the kids spend the day with John, and Homer starts noticing some changes in Bart. Like, for instance, he changed his shirt.
Bart, where'd you get that shirt?
I don't know. Came out of the closet.
And he chose the pink cookie instead of a brownie. Yeah, because that's what gay men do to identify themselves. Homer starts panicking about the fact that Bart is gay, and of course, blames Marge for it. He says it's due to Marge's exhibitions of femininity around Bart.
Homer, I don't think there's a problem with Bart. But if there is, it's probably because you're not spending any time with him.
Marge hitting just the right spot. Homer feels like he failed his son, so he takes Bart to do all sorts of manly activities. First, he sits him in front of a billboard with hot women promoting cigarettes, which results in...
I kind of want a cigarette.
That's a good start. Let's get you a pack. What's your brand?
Anything slim.
Not manly enough for you, Homer? Next up is a steel mill, where Homer shows Bart how real men work. But as hard as they work, they also party.
Hey, listen up. I want all of you to say hello to the Simpsons.
Trust Homer to march into a steel mill expecting grit and masculinity, only to find out it's the hottest dance floor in town, literally and figuratively.
We work hard. We play hard.
I guess you've all got by now why this episode is called Homer's Phobia. Homer is desperate, and he talks to Moe, who suggests they should take Bart deer hunting, since there's no war they can ship him off to kill a man. So a deer is a good substitute.
What? You never went hunting before and you're perfectly straight.
Oh yeah? How long since you've had a baby?
He would rather prove that he is gay than admit he's wrong. They go hunting, and Moe asks Bart if he's ever been hunting.
Nope. Something about a bunch of guys alone together in the woods. Seems kind of gay.
Casually roasting Moe's whole plan. Turns out, even the wilderness can't escape Bart's razor-sharp wit. Surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, they don't shoot any deer, since there's no deer in Springfield. Homer blames himself for breaking Bart, or not making him straight, but Moe finds a solution. He sees a sign for real live reindeers and drives them there.
What? I'm not gonna shoot a reindeer in a pen.
Come on, Bart. Be a sport and kill Blitzen, okay?
Only Homer could think the solution to father-son bonding is turning Santa's team into venison, because nothing says family values like taking out Blitzen. But the reindeers won't go down without a fight. They start attacking the gang, and Homer lifts Bart up and uses himself as his shield.
Dad, are you hurt?
Just my bones and organs.
And his ego. John and Marge find them and save them from the raging reindeer. This, of course, earns John Homer's respect, and all it took was saving his life.
Any way you choose to live your life is okay with me.
Huh?
He thinks you're gay.
And Bart was oblivious this whole time. So much for Homer's honest efforts. This episode was banned, rightfully so, but the next one followed the same fate, but not because of the writer's fault. The Simpsons go to New York so Homer can get his car back. The City of New York versus Homer Simpson opens with Barney being a designated driver for the night, and after he drops Homer off, both him and the car aren't seen for the next 2 months. Homer is left to fend for himself without a car, so he starts building one. Marge tells him she doesn't want him driving around in a car he built himself.
Marge, you can stand there finding fault, or you can knit me some seatbelts.
Sorry.
Leave it to Homer to prioritize DIY ingenuity over basic safety, because nothing says roadworthy like seatbelts lovingly knit by Marge. Homer gets a letter from New York notifying him that his car has been parked there illegally, but he won't go there to pick it up. He starts telling a story about why he hates New York City. They convince him to go to New York either way, and he agrees, but he's not happy about it.
All right, New York, I'm coming back, but you're not getting this.
Seems to me like he won't be getting much of that either, because he just burnt his money. Homer seems really scared of New York, so he comes up with a tactic.
So if anyone asks, we're sophisticated millionaires from the Ozarks.
Homer, you're scaring the children.
Because nothing says sophistication like a completely random, non-existent backstory. Homer finds his car parked between the Twin Towers, but it has a boot on the tire. Homer tries to pry the boot off with his hands and teeth, but it won't come off. Some guy watching him from a tower yells out an inappropriate joke, so another guy from the other tower yells out,
"Sorry about that, guy. They stick all the jerks in Tower 1.
And there you have it, folks. The reason why the episode was banned for a period of time after the 9/11 tragedy. This simple joke, and the fact that the World Trade Center was shown a lot during the episode. So the guy from Tower 2 tells Homer that he needs to call the number on the boot, and so he does. And the message tells him to wait from 9 to 5 for a police officer and not to leave his car. After a bunch of food and drinks, he has to pee really badly.
Men's room in tower. Observation deck.
Oh boy. Marge and the kids are having an amazing time until...
Mom, are those rabbits dead?
No, Lisa, they're just sleeping. Upside down and inside out.
Marge's attempt at keeping the mood light. They're not dead, just creatively posed. Because nothing says family fun like a taxidermy lesson. Meanwhile, Homer is literally about to do number 1 in his pants. So he rushes over to Tower 1, but the toilet is out of order. So he rushes to Tower 2, but as he finishes his business, he sees the cop, leaving him a ticket.
I'm getting out of this town alive if it kills me.
When nature calls, you answer, preferably in a functioning toilet, because nothing says survival instinct like a last-minute dash and a ticket for your troubles. He wrecks his car, but hey, at least he's on the move. Soon he realizes he won't be able to leave New York before dark unless he figures out a way to take off the boot. He sees some construction being done, so he takes their drill.
So long, Mr. Boot.
He finally manages to take it off with more car damage, but hey, it's off.
Homer 1, New York, nothing.
At least he's got a positive outlook on things. Marge and the kids are enjoying a nice chariot ride in Central Park.
I hope your father had as much fun as we did.
Exciting day, yes, for sure. But fun? I wouldn't call it that in front of Homer. Homer starts chasing his family down Central Park like a maniac.
Hey, it's Dad. Right on time.
We're getting out of here. Now, jump in, Marge.
Do what now? They get into the car and enjoy one last view of the city.
What a magical city. Can we come back next year, Dad?
We'll see, honey.
Poor Homer, New York's got the best of him. Who could have known that showing the Twin Towers so much would become a problem in the future? You get why I said it wasn't the writer's fault. But the next one sure is on the writers. The family travels to Brazil in order to find a missing boy. Blame It on Lisa starts with Marge opening a phone bill and it's $400, which they know they didn't make. So they go to the phone company, but they won't do anything. Then Homer tries to get them a free service, but that ends with him being electrocuted multiple times.
You made that call? But you're the good one.
Yeah, the one we both like.
Saying that you have a good and bad child is one thing, but saying that Lisa is the one they both like is too far, Homer. Too far. Lisa explains that she's been sponsoring a Brazilian boy for some time, but then he just disappeared, and the orphanage kept calling and asking for more money.
You can't hang up on a nun. That's right. They have powers.
Nuns might be the true secret agents of guilt tripping, because who can say no to someone who's armed with holy powers and a request for more cash? They decide they're going to Brazil to try and find the boy. Upon arriving, we see a lot of Brazilian stereotypes, like everyone being into football and a lot of sexualized cartoons.
Look, Marge, I'm Brazilian.
Yeah, that's not really appropriate. They start searching for Ronaldo. Marge finds the neighborhood charming, but it turns out...
Mom, these are slums. The government just painted them bright colors so the tourists wouldn't be offended.
If it works for other tourists, it works for Marge too. They get to Ronaldo's orphanage, and the nun says that he disappeared a few months ago, and that every day they light a candle for him.
Have you tried looking for him?
That's plan B.
Lighting a candle and hoping for a miracle, because why bother with a search when you can leave it to divine intervention and the power of a good flame? They split up and Homer and Bart are getting desperate. They mention Ronaldo's name to one of the farmer's market ladies.
No. I was just distracting you while my children robbed you.
Geez, no wonder this episode was banned. Football jokes, yeah. Crime rates, you can get past some of those. But bringing organized children crimes in, too far, man. Just too far. Homer and Bart get into a taxi, but it's a fake one, and the faux taxi driver kidnaps Homer and asks for a ransom.
Where's your father?
Kidnap.
Oh my God! What are we supposed to do?
I don't know. Wait for the call.
Totally calm in the face of danger, because when your dad gets kidnapped, it's just another Tuesday in the Simpson household. They can't make up the money for the ransom, and Lisa feels awful, and she blames herself for everything.
Your father would have loved this. The drunkenness, the ambiguous sexuality.
Well, and don't talk about him like he's dead. Since they're in the middle of a carnival, there's a lot of different colorful platforms, and on one of them, Bart sees someone familiar.
Hey, look, it's a stripper from the kids' show. She makes paying attention cool.
Bart's sharp eye never misses a beat, because who wouldn't recognize the stripper who makes paying attention really interesting? A flamingo from that platform starts calling out Lisa's name, and it's Ronaldo. They meet at the studio and he gives Lisa the ransom for Homer. She asks him if he's sure he can afford it.
And because I have no parents, my earnings remain unstolen.
Again, one more joke that just didn't need to see the light of a TV screen. They pay the ransom and Homer is back where he belongs, even though he's grown fond of his captors.
Homer, why are you laughing?
He has the Stockholm Syndrome. He has come to identify with his captors.
And then they make a joke about their money being gay, because it's pink and purple. Again, completely out of pocket and unnecessary. No wonder the Simpsons had to issue an apology to Rio.
I've learned that no matter how bad I screw up, you'll always bail me out.
How about not screwing up next time? Bad jokes all around. And this next episode from season 16 isn't any better. It just has another country as its target. Homer tries to help Selma adopt the baby, but it doesn't go as planned. Goo Goo Gai Pan opens with Selma going to the doctor because she's been experiencing hot flashes. The doctor tells her it's normal once you go into menopause, to which Bart asks, what is menopause?
Menopause is when the stork that brings babies gets shot by drunken hunters.
Yeah, something like that. Selma is feeling down because she won't be able to have kids now, and Marge says she didn't know she wanted to have kids so badly.
Didn't want to get pregnant and lose my looks.
Selma's priorities: keep the looks, skip the kids, because nothing says family planning like vanity first. Later, Patty reminds Selma that she can always adopt the baby. Selma goes to a Chinese adoption agency, but they require that the child must be adopted into a whole family, mother and father.
The Chinese government only allows wholesome married couples to adopt. No hen without cock.
Leave it to the adoption agency to put it bluntly, because nothing says official policy like comparing family structure to barnyard dynamics. Since Selma was cornered, she had to write the name of the one person that would go with her to China.
Writing the name. Yes, Homer Simpson is my whole world.
Oh, I just felt a chill go through my very soul.
Selma's desperation knows no bounds. Selma flies out the whole family to China without telling Homer what he needs to do for her. At first, he didn't want to do it, but then Marge convinced him.
I'll do it, because your sweet love is the one thing that saved my life from being an unmitigated disaster. Haha, now we're even!
Turning a heartfelt confession into a scoreboard moment, because nothing says I love you like keeping things even. But Selma won't get her baby for another couple of days, so they use that time to explore China. After Homer attempted an acrobatic stunt and failed miserably, he ended up in a hospital.
Introducing Ling Bouvier. This is Homer, your daddy. Without him, I wouldn't have you.
Seeing Selma be nicer to Homer is beyond weird, but I guess that's what motherhood does to you. Selma leaves Homer and Marge alone so they could snuggle a bit since they've been apart the whole trip, but that was the one mistake they shouldn't have made.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on Woo!
The adoption lady saw Homer and Marge kissing and took Ling away.
They took my baby.
Wow, the fortune cookies here really are more accurate.
Trust Homer to find the silver lining, because when life takes your baby, at least the fortune cookies don't sugarcoat it. Lisa comes up with a plan to get Ling back. They color Homer in gold paint so he looks just like Buddha, and they leave him in front of the adoption agency. Two men then bring him inside.
Never moved a Buddha this heavy. Let's cut him in chunks and worship the chunks.
Homer sneaks into the nursery, but the next challenge arises.
Now let's see, which one is Ling?
I think this is one of the reasons the episode was banned in Hong Kong. The classic stereotype that all Chinese people look the same. But the adoption agency catches them as they're about to leave. Selma steps up and talks to the lady, bureaucrat to bureaucrat.
Madam Wu, we both love the enforcement of pointless rules.
Selma's diplomacy at its finest, bonding over a shared passion for red tape, because nothing brings people together like the love of bureaucracy. Selma explains how she'd take really good care of the baby, and Homer backs her up on that. This melts Madam Wu's heart.
My mother raised me alone, so I know it can be done. You may keep your baby. But you, drop the panda!
Madam Wu proves she has a soft spot for single moms, and zero tolerance for Homer's panda antics. Priorities, people. Why can't the writers joke about America instead of putting the heat on other countries? I mean, not everyone can take a joke, so why don't you leave the ball in your court? Thankfully, in Weekend at Burnsies, the jokes aren't about any country, but something rather different. Homer gets hooked on weed and becomes even more obnoxious than before. Weekend at Burnsies starts with Marge planting her own garden, but when crows come picking at it, she builds a scarecrow.
Yeah, I did it! Marge is in the house. I will be soon, because it needs some cleaning.
Marge's victory dance is short-lived. Nothing says I'm a boss Yes, quite like immediately reminding yourself about house chores. Classic Marge. Homer comes home and gets scared by the scarecrow, so he beats it until it completely falls apart. After that, crows come to him and sort of pledge their allegiance.
Now go do my bidding! Whatever it may be.
Homer accidentally becomes the leader of a crow army, from dad bod to bird god in record time. By killing their enemy, crows started to see Homer as their alpha, so now they do everything for him. But when they take Maggie flying, Homer draws a line. He thinks they need some time apart, but the crows won't listen to him, so he tries to shoo them away.
That is not a worm!
Homer ends up in the hospital, and he's in desperate need of some painkillers. The doctor describes him medical marijuana. Homer's a bit skeptical, because he had a bad experience with weed in the past, but the doctor reassures him it's perfectly fine.
We'll also provide you with a prescription bong. You want the wizard or the skull?
Homer's journey to pain relief just got a mystical upgrade. Nothing says healthcare like choosing between Gandalf and Ghost Rider. Homer lights up a joint in the house, and Marge starts getting suspicious, so she goes to check on him only to find him high out of his mind.
Homer, you're doing drugs. And now I'm guilty of possession. I could go to prison.
Marge's priorities are on point. Homer's out of his mind, but she's already picturing herself in an orange jumpsuit. Homer keeps smoking weed, and he starts annoying Marge and his kids. Also, all of a sudden, he likes Lisa's sax, and he makes her play it for him.
Daddy's special medicine, which you must never use because it will ruin your life. Let's Daddy see and hear magical things.
Homer's PSA for parenting. Do as I say, not as I hallucinate. All this marijuana in Homer's trips is what got Weekend at Burnsy's banned for a while in the US. Ned Flanders comes to the Simpsons house to ask Homer to sign a petition, but first, he has to deal with Pothead Homer. Somehow, Ned ends up reading the whole Bible to Homer, and he's got a lot on his mind.
God does so much for me, and he doesn't ask anything in return.
Homer's takeaway from a Bible marathon. God's the ultimate chill guy. Zero demands, infinite perks. Ned uses this opportunity to get Homer to sign a petition to recriminalize medicinal marijuana, which Hi Homer does without thinking twice. Homer gets promoted by Mr. Burns, and it's all because of his giggly nature. But not everyone is enjoying Pothead Homer. Marge is really worried and she doesn't like Homer's new lifestyle.
I just got promoted and it's all thanks to Yes I Cannabis.
Homer's new motto, climbing the corporate ladder one puff at a time. Because joint ventures lead to success. The petition actually works, and medicinal marijuana is illegal again, and Homer can't be more bummed. But his family sees this as a good thing.
I want my old dad back, the one who was yelling all the time, and, I'm not really sure what I want.
Well, when you have a druggy dad on one end and a slightly abusive dad on the other, you really have a puzzle on your hands. Marge makes Homer promise he won't smoke marijuana anymore, and he does. But the problem is, he doesn't find Mr. Burns' jokes funny anymore. Mr. Burns gets angry, so he leaves Homer and Smithers so they can get their laugh on while he takes a bath.
But I promised my family I wouldn't smoke it anymore.
Well, I gotta do something.
Start inhaling, Waylon.
When your boss leaves you with no choice but to break a promise or break out the bong, corporate loyalty hits a new low. But while Smithers was getting high, he forgot about Mr. Burns, who was taking way too long to take a bath. So when they checked on him, they saw that he drowned in the bathtub.
You were too beautiful for this world.
Oh man, we killed Mr. Burns.
When your smoke break turns into a soak break gone wrong, you know HR is gonna have a field day with this one. But the show must go on. Since the investors meeting is in 20 minutes, Smithers thinks of a way they can get through it without anyone noticing that Mr. Burns is dead. They make a puppet out of him. Yes, morbid, but you gotta do what you gotta do. They put on a whole show, but one of the strings breaks and Mr. Burns falls.
Mr. Burns has left the building.
Body and soul.
Brilliant. We lost $60 million and they're cheering for more.
Mr. Burns, you're alive.
I guess pulling those strings did some good. I think this is a pretty funny episode, but I guess at the time some people didn't think so. But the next one is on another level completely, and the joke is far more serious. Homer becomes a gun nut, and he's ready to lose his family over the gun. The Cartridge family starts with the family going to a football game, and everything seemed fine until the audience noticed that the players weren't doing anything, and a fight broke out. The fight quickly escalated, and the whole town of Springfield broke out in chaos, looting and breaking into each other's homes. Marge doesn't feel safe, so Homer wants to give her peace of mind, so he goes out to make sure she gets it.
I'd like to buy your deadliest gun, please.
Homer possessing a gun? I don't think there's anything scarier than that. When he hears that there's a waiting period to get approved, he gets mad and annoyed, telling the salesman that he would be shooting him if he had a gun.
Yeah, well, you don't.
Lousy big shit. He's so big because he's got a lot of guns.
Classic Homer, throwing around threats he can't back up. If only the salesman knew that the most dangerous weapon Homer has is his mouth. Homer keeps muttering the whole day, and when Lisa asks him to do that in his room, he says that Marge kicked him out.
Pushy kids think they can tell me what to do in my house. I tell you parents these days, they don't know how to rear children.
Homer's got it all wrong. He thinks it's his house, but we all know who really runs the show. Maybe if he listened to Marge instead of venting, he'd still be in the bedroom. After 5 days, Homer goes to the gun store, but he is marked as potentially dangerous.
Potentially dangerous?
Relax, that just limits you to 3 handguns or less.
Oh, America. No wonder this episode was banned. Homer gets his gun and goes to show it to Marge, who is adamant about not having guns in the house. Homer asks her to go to an NRA meeting with him, and if after that she still doesn't agree with him, they can fight about it more. Of course, the meeting doesn't change Marge's opinion, but you know how Homer can be persuasive.
Once in your life, be fair.
He's got a lot of nerve telling her that. She gives in, and the most dangerous man on Earth has a gun in his possession now. At dinner, Homer accidentally shoots the gun. Twice. And Marge has had enough of this nonsense.
But this is the first time since we've been married that I've actually feared for our lives.
Only the first time? I'd argue with that. Marge asks Homer to put her and the children in front of his love for weapons, and he promises that he'll get rid of it. But the next day, Marge finds Bart in Milhouse playing with it, and she loses it.
Of all the terrible things you've ever done in your life, this is the worst, the most despicable.
I guess she finally found Homer's true weapon of mass destruction, his bad influence on the kids. She tells him that until he gets rid of the gun, they won't be living in the same house. And the proud man that Homer is, he says he'll be just fine on his own. Marge goes to Selma to ask her if they could spend the night at her place.
I've left Homer. Thank God.
Selma's reactions are always spot on. She gives Marge the name of a motel she once woke up in, so Marge and the kids go there, and Homer throws an NRA meeting/party. But when the other members see how irresponsibly he uses his gun, they withdraw his membership.
Oh, this gun cost me everything. My wife, my kids, everything but my precious, precious gun.
Homer's priorities are definitely off. Homer goes to the motel to apologize to Marge and beg her to come home. He promises he got rid of the gun, and Marge forgives him. But upon them leaving, Snake Jailbird shows up, robbing the motel. Homer pulls out his gun.
Homer, you said you got rid of the gun. You lied to me. Again.
I know I said that, but what I secretly meant was...
But before he could answer, Snake Jailbird took away his gun. But what he didn't know was that a silent alarm went off, and the members of the NRA were notified and came to the rescue. Homer explains that he loved the feeling of power the gun gave him, but he's aware of how badly it affects him.
So please, get rid of it, because I know I'll just lie to you again and again.
At least he's aware this time. Marge goes to throw out the gun, but... Damn, she looks powerful. But be careful, Marge. You never know when power can consume you. Guns are a serious topic, but I'd argue that leprosy is even more serious. Lisa tries to get Homer and Bart to help around the house, but there's no getting those two to do anything that involves cleaning. Little Big Mom starts with Marge trying to sneak past the family with a big box of junk, but she's not as sly as she thinks.
Get her! She's doing something!
It's a Goodwill truck!
That's what she gets for being socially responsible. Homer chases after the truck and manages to retrieve the box. Marge starts lecturing them about how they never use the junk from the box, for example, Homer's skis, so he one-ups her.
Hey, let's go skiing right now!
Yeah, let's go!
Homer's always ready to fix things with a wild idea. It's like he's trying to prove a point, but ends up proving Marge is right instead. They go skiing, but even though Marge doesn't ski, she's the one who ends up hurt when a clock falls on her leg. She winds up in the hospital, and the doctors tell her she must stay there and rest until she's recovered. This upsets her as she has a lot of stuff to do around the house, but Lisa steps up.
We'll all pitch in on the housework, right, guys?
If Lisa seriously thinks those two will do anything around the house, she needs to rethink about her being the smart one, because that's beyond naive. Marge tells her not to be a hero, but we all know Lisa. She thinks of a method that will ensure that everyone does something around the house.
Now we're gonna draw jobs from the chore hat.
You can almost hear the collective groans, but hey, at least it's organized chaos. Soon, Lisa realizes she's in way over her head and she can't handle the workload, especially since Homer and Bart only contribute to the mess.
Will you guys turn that thing down?
Sweetie, if we didn't turn it down for the cops, what chance do you have?
After Lisa hallucinates talking to a woman, she comes up with a brilliant idea that got this episode banned in Japan. She makes Bart and Homer look like they're sick by painting them and sticking oats on their skin. The next morning, when they wake up, they start freaking out, and Lisa turns to the handy-dandy internet for a diagnosis.
Any exposure to unsanitary conditions?
Duh, we're pigs!
Homer and Bart's natural state of filth should be the real diagnosis.
You've got leprosy.
Oh, Lisa, you've restored your position as the smart one in the family. But what she didn't account for is that Bart and Homer are going to look for the solution in a religious way.
We're not really set up for lepers.
So you're shunning us.
Wow, this episode took a biblical turn real quick. In the meantime, Lisa had to clean the whole house because Bart and Homer just vanished, and Marge had come back. Lisa explains to her the whole situation and they go looking for them. Marge tries to calm her down by telling her they couldn't have gone far. Oh, she could not be more wrong.
Molokai!
You mean Hawaii?
That's the one. They've got a top-notch leper colony there, so we shipped him right off.
Lisa and Marge find them, and Lisa apologizes and explains the whole situation. They surprise her by telling her they found out once Homer ate one of his patches, but that they've been enjoying their stay in Hawaii. I guess being a dirty pig pays off sometimes. Guns, leprosy, and now even the Italian mob. What are those writers on? Let's take a look at how Fat Tony became Maggie's godfather, and I mean that with a capital G. In A Maid Maggie, the family leaves Maggie with Grandpa while they do a almost Harry Potter theme park, but when they return, they see that Maggie is missing, and Grandpa doesn't know when was the last time he saw her. Thankfully, Ned rings the doorbell, returning Maggie home.
And if anything did happen, she has the only insurance you truly need, a simple Christian baptism.
Actually...
I think Ned's gonna be sick from hearing that. He scolds them and leaves, but Marge can't stop thinking about what he said. She tells Homer he needs to go out and find a godfather for Maggie. Once Homer crossed off all of his friends because they're ineligible, he's saved by Fat Tony from a piano falling on top of him and Maggie.
Fat Tony, you saved us.
Not I. It was the Blessed Mother.
Homer notices that Fat Tony is religious, but he can't be Maggie's godfather. Unfortunately, Homer slips up and tells him that Maggie needs a godfather, and Fat Tony jumps in to save the poor baby's soul. Homer can't say no, so he says yes. But there's one person who can say no.
Fat Tony, I'm sorry, but you can't be the godfather.
We all know who wears the pants in this relationship.
Your baby will want to go to an elite preschool, a prestigious prep school, a college with the Ivy. I could help you with all these things.
Waving the money is always the answer when it comes to The Simpsons. Marge whispers to Homer that they'll go along with it until they find a way to get out.
Godfather.
I don't think the Italians appreciated all the Godfather/mob references. Fat Tony appoints his helpers to watch Maggie, and when another baby ruins their sandcastle, they show him who's the boss.
Here you go, baby boss.
His associates start thinking Fat Tony has gone soft. I mean, just look at him.
You stole my heart, you little criminal.
Fat Tony goes into business of maturity and baby clothes, and his associates are even more convinced that he's not well, so they move along with the plan of killing him. Poor Fat Tony, he just wants to be family friendly. When Marge sees how Maggie is changing her behavior for the worst, fighting with other babies and bullying them, she's had enough.
What have we done? Fat Tony, get away from my kid. That's it.
Marge stepping up to a mafia boss because no one is braver and crazier than a worried mother. Fat Tony explains to Homer how he wants one last chance to prove he's gone good. Homer says he'll see what he can do, but Marge is adamant. Tony bought out a whole arena so Maggie can enjoy the Itchy and Scratchy show on ice, but that means no witnesses.
You did the worst thing a mob boss could ever do, care about somebody else.
These mob rules are very strict, no wonder everyone gets killed off easily. But Tony's associates save him. They were just pretending to betray him.
No, Maggie. No, I'm sorry. That's not me.
Oh, isn't it?
Oh my God, you're right.
Well, that didn't last long. Fat Tony realizes he can't change, but it's not too late for Maggie to go in the right direction.
I'm stepping back as godfather.
Finally.
Thank God.
Goodbye, fancy new car. Goodbye, private preschools. But welcome back, nice Maggie.
Ooh, before you go, could you?
Just when I thought I was out, they dragged me back in.
That's how it is in Maggie's mob world. Being part of the mob, even for a little while, is something Maggie can put on her CV for sure. But that family dynamic surely is dysfunctional. Take Bart and Homer, for example. Bart and Homer get sent on a boat cruise in order to help mend their relationship. The wreck of the relationship starts with Homer trying to be an authority figure to Bart, but it's not working.
Maybe you two are more similar than you'd like to admit.
We're not similar.
Oh, he could not be more wrong. At lunch, Bart left his broccoli untouched, but Homer won't let this slide. They get into a sit-off competition to see who's gonna last longer.
You are not leaving this table until you eat that broccoli, and I'm going to sit right here until you do.
Homer just pulled out the big guns. Let's see how far this gets them. After 17 hours, they're still at it. Homer gets a call from Lenny reminding him that their fantasy football draft is about to begin.
And so the fat man came.
Marge, I want you, my wife, draft my fantasy football team.
Oh wow, this is getting serious. Marge and Lisa try to solve their problems, but it doesn't work, so Marge comes up with a great idea. Kidnapping Homer and Bart at night and getting them on a ship where they're gonna solve their problems like true sailors.
Shouldn't we do something?
We are doing something. We're empathizing.
I don't think that's gonna work on those two. Marge is disgusted by the way Homer's fantasy football teammates are talking to each other, so she pulls out the big guns.
Make-believe computer football is no excuse for using the internet to be mean.
When all else fails, talking to God about your husband's friends will surely do the trick. Marge then sees that everyone is trash-talking each other while at church, which troubles her so deeply that she takes out the church's Wi-Fi.
She's under a lot of stress. Her husband's at sea.
Yeah, that must be it. Meanwhile, Bart has really embraced the sailor life, while Homer, on the other hand, well, let's just say he's been having troubles.
You're enjoying this, aren't you?
So what if I am?
You're my son and you will hate what I hate.
Wow, that's healthy parenting.
I'm old enough to choose my own things to hate, and the things I like. And I like being a sailor.
Good for Bart. He finally found something healthy he enjoys doing. Bart becomes the midshipman, which additionally pisses Homer off because now his son can give him orders. So he's acting all childish and won't do anything Bart says. Homer starts drinking and the captain follows in his footsteps, leaving Bart the one in charge. They start fighting when Bart does something we never thought we'd see.
Now, can we please respect each other?
Bart being mature. This can't be happening.
Yes, son, we can. Awaiting your orders, Mr. Midshipman.
And they worked out their issues. Finally. If you enjoyed today's videos, make sure to give it a like and click that subscribe button for more videos like this.